Good morning, everyone. Kate and Deena, welcome. I'm thrilled to see you guys and be doing this. And I got to say, it's very appropriate. I am 9 months pregnant. This may be the last live stream I do before I have this baby.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow, congrats.
Thank you. Well, Kate, let's start with you. This is really like a historic moment. I know many have noted this for women's health and women-led startups, something we talk a lot about on TechCheck. Kate, tell us about the business, what Maven is, and sort of what this moment means for you.
Great. Well, thanks so much. And yeah, again, congratulations. Maven is the largest virtual clinic in women's and family health, built around planning, growing, and raising a family. And so what that means is that we have programs around fertility and pregnancy and postpartum and pediatric care. And our product is really full stack in the sense that we connect care advocates and telemedicine and financial reimbursement to families when they're going through all of these journeys. And I think really, what this moment means to us and our team and really is that this is a category that has been so under innovated in and underserved for so long. And we are now really able to go build against our roadmap and continue to tackle all of these myriad issues.
Yeah, and Deena, tell us about, this is the biggest check that you have written. And it was so interesting. I was reading a TechCrunch article that quoted my former colleague, Chrissy Farr, who said she used to cover this space extremely closely at CNBC and was always told that it was too niche, which is crazy, right? Because it makes up women, make up 50% of the population. You want a woman-led company. So when did you start to become interested in Maven, and what made you sort of write the biggest check that you ever have that you have since?
Thank you, Deirdre. And Chrissy says hello, by the way. We have become close friends and co-collaborators on all things women's health. And as you said, it's frankly mind-boggling to me as an investor that this category was relegated to niche, not only given the fact that 50% of the population is women, but also the fact that 80% of the dollars spent in healthcare, which is a massive multi-trillion-dollar industry that has, of course, been put pressure on by the pandemic, is also controlled by women. And the idea of sort of the maternal journey as a wedge into broader healthcare is so intuitive. So for me, it's very much based on this conviction in the broader market, but also stems back to my own personal experience, as it does for many of us who are investors in this space.
Right. And Kate, this was born out of a personal experience from yourself as well. Do you want to maybe talk about that and how that led you to create Maven and sort of the response and feedback that you've received from women and investors since then?
Sure. So I started the business 7 years ago, and it was right around the time that my first friends started having kids. And really, as a woman kind of looking down the decade of also having kids and seeing a lot of the gaps that they were experiencing, whether it was infertility or postpartum depression or miscarriage, that it was completely insane that there was all of this digital health innovation in and around, women's health, but there was actually nothing in women's and family health that was tackling, so many of these underserved areas. And so that was really where Maven was born. One of the first things I did, I'm a former journalist, was just talk to tons of women's and family health providers, tons of families, to really then understand all of the different types of journeys that people are on. And when you just continue to peel back the onion, you really realize that no path to parenthood is unique. And so really, Maven was born there. And then since, I started my parenthood journey with a miscarriage. I now have 3 kids. Each pregnancy, each kind of labor and delivery has been, and each recovery has been really different. And so couldn't be more thrilled to continue to kind of double down and really build these personalized member journeys and this personalized product experience so that each path to parenthood is supported in its own way.
Right. And, Deena, I know that you guys at Lux Capital led this round, but it saw a lot of participation from existing investors. Sequoia is one, Bond participated in this round, Oprah Winfrey as well, right? When did she become involved? And what kind of assistance does that give you in at least sort of raising the profile and getting more investors and more customers on board?
Yeah, this company has really risen to the forefront in the category. And I think that is evidenced not only by the incredible folks that have come around the table, and we're delighted to co-lead this round along with Dragoneer, with participation from some of the others that you mentioned, and to bring on thought leaders and advocates like Oprah. In previous rounds, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Ann Wojcicki, and others have also participated. And I think that really speaks to not only the space, but also to Kate and to the company, which is the most comprehensive solution, not only for maternal care, for fertility, for postpartum, but really through the entire experience of starting and raising a family. And for those of us who have gone through that, we know that that is one of the biggest challenges, is the connective tissue between the different experiences and different stages of starting and raising a family. And Maven is best in class across all of those categories.
Now, as a financial journalist, one thing that I found really fascinating is, Kate, the growth of your enterprise business. I just wonder how that evolved. You have partnerships with 5 new Fortune 15 companies, including Microsoft, achieved 100% retention rate. How important has that enterprise side been to the business and to your growth?
I mean, that is our business model fundamentally. We're a B2B2C company. And so I think one of the biggest things that we wanted to do in working with employers and health plans and kind of the larger system is that, the journeys around fertility and pregnancy and parenting are really, really unique, and people are getting a lot of that support through their health plan. And so to be able to then sign up for the Maven programs for free, supported by their employer or their health plan, is really what drives all of the engagement and the adoption of our services. And so many of our programs are designed around kind of interventions that early on to help people get the healthier outcomes that they need. And so really it's so important that the patient knows that, that it's free and that it's backed by their by the person who's paying for their healthcare. And I think one of the things that's been really interesting too is it's not just about necessarily all of the clinical outcomes for the employers, but employers are facing a ton of gender disparities in the workforce, particularly at the top. I think we've seen women leave the workforce in droves over the last year with COVID. Mm-hmm. So there's also a huge element around bringing Maven on to not only kind of democratize and equalize the pathways of parenthood, but really fundamentally help women get back to work after having kids and grow their careers as mothers.
Right. That's a great point. I think that COVID has really refocused women's health. And I wonder, though, Kate, when I think about these kinds of benefits, I think about the obvious, tech companies offering this, but how has or hasn't it changed or evolved? What kind of sectors have you seen over the last year or so become interested in providing this kind of benefit and signing on to a partnership with Maven?
I think in the early kind of years of signing up employers, we were signing a lot of the early adopters. Now it's just kind of across the board. Everyone's looking for services like Maven for 2 reasons. Number one is either it's just to kind of, reduce maternity related costs. Those are still one of the top costs that self-funded employers and health plans see. Then also, equalizing it and making a more diverse experience along these pathways of parenthood, supporting LGBTQ couples in their parenting journeys, bringing adoption and fertility care, bringing, parenting support, given all of the burnout that parents have been facing over the last year with COVID. And so I think that there's kind of that double bottom line of not just costs, but then really about, member experience and really for issues of DE&I and bringing better equity in these journeys.
So Deena, Kate talked a little bit about how, COVID and the pandemic refocused women's health in terms of employers, but I wonder among the investment community, Maven now being $1 billion startup and receiving all of this interest and participation, are you optimistic on other women-led startups, whether that be in health or other sectors? Do you think that the pandemic has refocused the investment community?
That's a great question, Deirdre. I think there have been a lot of implications of the pandemic on investment, and we've seen that through the proliferation of deals, through a number of exits, through unprecedented valuations, and in particular in healthcare, which is an area where I spend a lot of time, although I did spend a lot of time pre-pandemic, so I also know what it was like before the rest of the world began to see. There are across the board, all of the stakeholders involved, whether it's providers or payers, and importantly, patients that are experiencing a digital transformation. And my opinion is that digital transformation is here to stay. And so I think there's still a tremendous upside for companies like Maven. And while this achievement of becoming a unicorn is a huge one, and I'm so proud, I also believe it's really only the beginning, and most of the growth is still ahead of us.
And I guess like even more broadly, Deena, how do you think the startup ecosystem is faring when it comes to diversity? It's a topic I talked about a few months ago with All Race, I'm sure you're very familiar with. And there's progress being made, but there's still a long ways to go. And the data suggests that nearly half of private companies don't have a woman on the board at all. Are you optimistic?
Deirdre, there is so much room to improve here. You're absolutely right. And I'm proud to be a part of the All Race community and a number of other communities. I think what's been promising is more and more data that is actually pointing to the fact that it's not just about funding diverse founding teams because it's better for the world, but diverse founding teams create and lead better companies. Mm-hmm. They have better ROI. They recruit more diverse teams. They return to their investors. And at the end of the day, that is what a lot of financially motivated investors are looking for. And I am hopeful that the more of that we see, the more Kates we have in the world, the more unconscious bias will hopefully be dissipated. And as for me, I definitely seek out the underdogs and diverse representation beyond just gender as well. And it's because I believe that they are, in many ways, a sort of relentless chip on their shoulder entrepreneurs that are going to create generational companies.
Yep, and the data certainly backs that up too. The diversity leads to good business. Kate, with just a few minutes left, I want to ask you finally, where do you see Maven sort of in the mid to longer term? You guys have plans to expand beyond women's health, and how do you think about your future as a company, whether that be a public company or part of a larger organization?
Yeah, so, I think today what we do is serving women's and family health for a lot of the employers and health plans. You're still missing about 50% of the births in this country, and those are the births born on, Medicaid plans. And so to really, really fulfill our mission and to really democratize access to care and use the best of virtual care and digital health, filling in all these gaps, you have to go into those populations. I think also even just for a lot of employers in the US, they might have big supply chain populations that are on and off, Medicaid. And so that's a big area of focus for us. And then again, it's just that deeper personalization across all of these family building journeys. I think, we call this kind of women's and family health because it's not, it's not just pregnancy anymore. I think that people didn't even understand kind of the problems of pregnancy early on. Now they do, but now they're also seeing that you can't have, pregnancy without fertility and without parenting and without adoption services. And so, to go deeper into those journeys, they're so fraught. They're all really different in each and of themselves. And so, also putting more resources towards that.
Right. And how do you think about, future as a public or private company? There's so many ways to go public now. And, we've really seen the proliferation of SPACs taking companies public earlier. How do you think about that?
I think honestly, we are heads down on building. There's so much more that we need to build. But I think ultimately bringing on these investors, we at Maven, do want to stay independent. And so we are, heads down to continue to build great products, but continuing to make sure that the business is going to be ready for an IPO at some point.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing what you guys do. Please come back. Tell us, give us updates. Congratulations to both of you once again. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And congratulations again.
Yeah.
One more question for Kate. Was your third late, early, or on time?
Are you having your third?
Yes.
Yes. He was the C-section, the breech baby. So he was a little early as a result of that. So good luck.
Okay. So I don't get any clues there. I'm still waiting. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.